My mother's hands trembled on the church bench beside me. All around, people sat fanning themselves, their backs rigid, eyes flickering my way, then away. There was the thick scent of candle wax and hair oil, and the faint, almost metallic taste of anticipation as Pastor Minea finished his sermon and cleared his throat for final prayers. He looked straight at me when he said, "Today, we have a young man with something to tell us." His voice echoed in the high ceiling, so every word clung to the cracked stone walls. Mutiso from the front row shifted in his seat. I could see his sharp tongue sharpening behind his lips. The world shrank in the hush, pressing on my skull. I stood because there was nowhere to hide. My knees ached, weak with dread, but I forced my voice to stay calm. I said, "I want to go into artificial intelligence, computers that think, not banking like Dad hoped, not a doctor." The laughter started with Auntie Ruth's stifled snort. The sound spread, low and acid. Even Pastor Mina smiled, not kindly. Someone coughed. "Mzungu dreams." My father's jaw clenched hard. He pressed his thigh with his fist, hiding disappointment with anger. "It's not a joke," I said, but my face burned. "People all over the world—" "Which people?" came Mutiso's voice. "You think you'll make robots here while we can't even keep the lights on?" They all joined in. Start by fixing the church computer for the choir before building thinking machines." My voice was drowned in the noise. My own brother, flanked by friends, grinned, shaking his head. After service, in the glare of the dusty noon sun, no one met my eye. My mother squeezed my hand but offered no words. At home, in the kitchen's smoky half-dark, my father said, "You embarrass yourself and us." Then he left, slamming the door so hard the plates rattled. That rejection coiled inside me for years, a slow venom. In class, when my teachers looked at me over their glasses, I heard their skepticism. "Who will hire a boy from Kaiole to make computers think?" My classmates laughed, quick to remind me, "You think you're in America? AI is for Elon Musk, not for Nairobi." But I was stubborn as dry season dust. I took odd jobs to save money for internet bundles, selling airtime, mending phones, running errands in the estate. By dusk, with the city settling to hums and distant matatu horns, I sat cross-legged on the floor, my battered laptop glowing, patching together Python scripts and scavenging free online courses. When the power went out, I walked to the petrol station, plugged in and kept going under fluorescent glare, ignoring the stares. I fell asleep in the heat, code looping behind my eyelids, waking to find petrol attendants had thrown a jacket over my shoulders. My skin grew tough as I waited out mocking remarks and muttered warnings of failure. The loneliness was real. Even friends disappeared. I saw their WhatsApp statuses, nights out, weddings, promotions, but my messages remained gray-ticked. At home, Dad stopped asking. Mom offered food silently at my door. Cycles of doubt grew sharper, asking in the dark, "Am I the fool they see?" One night, after a failed model crashed my computer, I sat in the stairwell, stifling sobs, chest tight. Was it pride or hope keeping me alive? Nairobi's city lights winked far off. Cold but insistent, just out of reach. But time moved and I moved with it. Through open source forums, I found mentors, a Kenyan working for Microsoft in Germany, Nigerian students helping from Lagos, their accents familiar and energizing. I submitted a chatbot project to a local tech competition. It was basic, but it worked. Simple Swahili English translation. Nothing fancy, but the code was mine. For the first time, someone emailed back, "Impressive initiative. Are you free for a call?" It was Karen Bowen from a Nairobi startup. I borrowed a shirt from my brother, who rolled his eyes but let me take it, saying, "Don't embarrass us, Shah." At the interview, my voice cracked from lack of sleep, but my answers were steady. 2 weeks later, they offered me a contract. Small salary, big title. Junior AI developer. Work was learning, doubting, trying, failing, then getting it right. My manager, Chira, saw how I came early, left late. He invited me into bigger experiments. Voice recognition for underserved languages. Projects that made my heart pound. They didn't laugh. They asked questions, pushed me harder. My hands, trembling that first Sunday in church, became sure in code and in meetings. I felt myself growing, like a tree at last touching open air. One product caught fire, a smart agricultural app predicting droughts, helping small farmers anticipate planting seasons. For months, I rode matatus to remote villages with Chira and a technical team, explaining AI in slow, careful Swahili and soft English, watching suspicion turn into curiosity, then gratitude. International partners took note. A Singaporean firm contacted us. Suddenly, there were flights, conferences, journalists wanting interviews. The first time I flew to Cape Town, my phone blew up with congratulatory texts. Even my brother sent a sheepish, "Saw you in the papers. Congrats, bro." Success brought its own dizziness. I sent money home, bought mom a fridge, helped dad fix the leaking roof. Gradually, things shifted, at home, at church. People no longer whispered in my wake. But Nairobi is a city of many eyes. News of my return from an AI conference in Washington reached the old parish before I did. Pastor Mina called my parents. They wanted me back for Sunday service. Not for correction, but for recognition. Walking into the church again, years later, I felt my skin ripple with old unease. Familiar faces, Mutiso, Auntie Ruth, neighbors, watched as I entered, their glances less sharp, more searching. The bench where I once sat, my mother's trembling hand in mine, stood empty, waiting. The candles flickered, the air smelled of hope and history. After worship, Pastor Mena cleared his throat, just as before. We thank God for all our gifts. Today, we have a testimony. Instead of humiliation, there was the thick electric charge of anticipation. I stood, palms moist, the weight in my chest different this time. I looked out over the crowd and found eyes meeting mine, open, curious. I told them my story, sparing none of the struggle. I didn't dwell on spite, but didn't sugarcoat pain. When I spoke of learning at the petrol station, of mentors from far places, of stumbling to build something from bits and hope, the church fell silent. Even Mutiso, sharp-tongued as a wasp, sat forward, face unreadable. Then I opened my battered laptop, yes, the same one, and mirrored its screen to their donated projector. I showed them the agricultural app live demo. This is used by thousands of farmers in Kenya, Tanzania, and Uganda, I explained. See? It alerts them when rain is late so they can plant maize safely. They double their profits. I built the heart of this. All of this started here with you. I called up Mr. Kamau from our own church, who'd joined the pilot months ago. He took the mic with wide eyes. "Bwana asifiwe," he began. "Last season, I harvested more maize than any time since my father died. This app told me before any radio the rains would be late. I waited and my cousin lost crops, but I did not. My family had enough food and extra to sell. This is your son, your neighbor, who made this." There was murmured astonishment, a swelling pride. Auntie Ruth blinked, lips parted. Mutiso exhaled, his foot tapping restless as he leaned in. Pastor Mina set both hands on my shoulders at the altar. "See what faith, not ridicule, can do," he said as the congregation burst into raucous, joyous applause. Their voices filled every stone. Afterwards, people crowded with handshakes and questions. Auntie Ruth hugged me, her embrace tight, less fierce than before. Mutiso grinned, clapping my back, and whispered, "I was wrong. You made us all look smart." Outside in the bright courtyard, my father finally spoke, his voice a low rumble.